Loyalty is one of the most celebrated virtues in human history. From childhood, you are taught that loyalty is strength, that standing by a system, a leader, or a group will eventually protect you, that loyalty builds trust and that loyalty is rewarded. Stories glorify it, speeches praise it, institutions demand it, but reality tells a very different story. Across history, the most loyal individuals are rarely the most protected. They are often the most expendable. 500 years ago, a man observed power closely enough to understand why this happens. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. He did not write to inspire hope or to comfort people. He wrote to describe power as it truly behaves, not as we wish it behaved, and what he discovered still makes people uncomfortable today. Every system makes the same promise: be loyal and you will belong. Belonging feels safe, like protection, like certainty in an uncertain world. This is why loyalty is encouraged everywhere, in companies, governments, families, and even relationships. But here is the question most people never ask: if loyalty truly protected people, why are the most loyal so often the first to be sacrificed? Why do loyal employees lose their jobs without warning? Why do loyal supporters disappear when power shifts? Why do loyal people feel used, drained, and replaceable? Machiavelli understood the answer. He understood that loyalty is not valued for its morality but for its usefulness. In The Prince, Machiavelli observed something simple and brutal: power does not reward loyalty, power rewards usefulness. A loyal individual who no longer serves a purpose is not protected, they are forgotten. This is not cruelty or evil, it is how systems survive. Systems do not exist to care, they exist to continue. Once you understand this, many things in modern life begin to make sense. Look at the modern workplace. You are told to be loyal to the company, to work harder, stay late, sacrifice weekends, and give more than required. Loyalty is framed as professionalism, character, and commitment, but companies do not feel loyalty, they feel numbers. Productivity charts, quarterly reports, efficiency metrics, profit margins. When loyalty aligns with efficiency, it is praised. When loyalty conflicts with efficiency, it is discarded, not because the company is evil, but because the system is designed to survive, not to feel. This is why loyal employees are often shocked when they are replaced. They believed loyalty was protection. Machiavelli would say they misunderstood the rules of power, confusing morality with strategy. This misunderstanding is not accidental. Systems benefit when people believe loyalty equals safety, because loyal people do not question, they endure, they accept explanations instead of demanding answers, and most importantly, they are predictable. Predictability is useful to power. Unpredictability is not. The same rule appears in politics. Supporters believe loyalty creates security, that standing by authority places them under protection, but history proves otherwise. Loyal followers are praised publicly and discarded privately. Once their usefulness ends, their loyalty becomes irrelevant. Machiavelli observed this pattern centuries ago and understood that power cannot afford emotional attachments. It must remain flexible, and flexibility requires distance. This is why power prefers obedience over independent loyalty. Obedient people do not challenge, independent people eventually do. Even personal relationships are not immune to this rule. Blind loyalty often turns into dependency, and dependency creates imbalance. The person who gives endlessly without boundaries slowly loses leverage, not because they are weak, but because power respects balance, not sacrifice. Machiavelli understood something modern culture avoids admitting: loyalty without leverage creates vulnerability. This is not an attack on loyalty itself, it is a warning about misunderstanding it. The Matrix teaches a moral version of reality. Be good, be loyal, and life will reward you, but power operates on a different rulebook. It rewards awareness, adaptability, and value, not obedience. This is not pessimism, this is clarity. Once you see this clearly, you begin to notice patterns everywhere. Systems praise loyalty loudly but protect themselves quietly. Those who question are labeled difficult, while those who comply are labeled loyal. Loyalty is demanded upward but rarely returned downward. Machiavelli saw this clearly. Rulers encourage loyalty not because it is noble, but because it stabilizes control. A loyal population is easier to manage, a loyal workforce easier to replace, a loyal follower base easier to mobilize. This is why loyalty is framed as virtue. Virtue discourages resistance, and resistance threatens stability. Power does not fear disloyalty, it fears awareness. This is why independent thinkers are discouraged, not through force but through social pressure. They are called negative, cynical, ungrateful, or difficult, while obedient loyalty is celebrated as maturity and professionalism. But Machiavelli would remind you that power respects strength, not morality, and strength in this context means leverage. Leverage is the ability to influence outcomes. Loyalty without leverage is submission. Submission may be praised, but it is rarely rewarded. This misunderstanding keeps people trapped. They stay in systems that no longer value them, defend institutions that would replace them tomorrow, and sacrifice for structures that barely recognize their existence. When the system moves on, they feel betrayed, but Machiavelli would say the betrayal began earlier, when loyalty was mistaken for protection. This pattern repeats across history. Empires collapse and loyal servants are abandoned. Corporations fail and loyal workers are laid off. Political movements shift and loyal supporters are forgotten. Yet the lesson is rarely learned because loyalty feels good. It feels moral and meaningful, and systems know this. They use loyalty as emotional glue and reward it symbolically rather than materially: titles, praise, recognition, belonging, things cheaper than real protection. Machiavelli understood that symbols are powerful, but symbols are not shields. Only value is. Only leverage is. Only awareness is. This does not mean becoming ruthless or betraying everyone. It means understanding where loyalty is demanded instead of earned. Earned loyalty flows both ways. Demanded loyalty flows upward only. This difference is critical. When loyalty is demanded, questioning becomes betrayal. When loyalty is earned, questioning becomes contribution. Power prefers demanded loyalty because it does not challenge authority, it reinforces it. This is the core of the matrix. A system that teaches morality to maintain control, rewards obedience while speaking the language of virtue, and calls sacrifice noble while treating the sacrificer as disposable. Once you see this, your relationship with loyalty changes. You stop giving it blindly. You stop mistaking praise for protection. You stop confusing belonging with security. You begin to observe instead of obey. This is where Machiavelli becomes dangerous, not because he teaches manipulation, but because he teaches realism. Realism threatens systems built on illusion. Illusion keeps people compliant. Clarity creates friction. This is why Machiavelli is misunderstood and labeled cynical or immoral, but he was simply honest. He described power as it exists, not as it should exist, and honesty is always uncomfortable, especially when it removes comforting lies. Loyalty is one of those lies, not because loyalty is bad, but because it is rarely rewarded the way people expect. Once you understand this, you can choose loyalty consciously. You give it where it is reciprocated and withdraw it where it is exploited. You remain ethical without being naive. This is the real escape. Not rebellion or aggression, but awareness. Awareness removes blind spots, and blind spots are where systems operate most effectively. The moment you stop being blind, control weakens. This is why awareness is discouraged and questioning feels uncomfortable and lonely, but it is also why it is powerful. Machiavelli would not tell you to abandon loyalty. He would tell you to understand its limits, to never confuse virtue with leverage, praise with protection, or belonging with security. Systems survive by encouraging confusion. Clarity disrupts efficiency, and efficiency is what power values most. Once you see this clearly, your behavior changes. You stop over-investing emotionally in structures that do not reciprocate. You stop expecting morality from mechanisms designed for survival. You stop being shocked by predictable outcomes. This is not cynicism, it is maturity. This is what escaping the matrix actually looks like: seeing the rules without hating the game, understanding power without worshipping it, choosing loyalty deliberately, not automatically. Because the moment loyalty is automatic, it is no longer loyalty, it is conditioning, and conditioning benefits the system, not you. This channel exists to expose these hidden rules, not to make you bitter, but to make you aware. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. If you want to understand power instead of being controlled by it, subscribe. Escape the matrix.